I feel like people in the audience can connect a bit more.
Yeah.
Generally, people are more familiar with someone holding a guitar. They know, okay, yeah, he's doing that, he's making sound. Back when we were just pressing buttons, even though we could be doing really complicated stuff, no one knows.
Unless you've got a camera looking down on what you're doing. Even then, people are like, well, it's just some coloured buttons.
Hello, my name's Nicole and welcome to The Big Chat. This is the third run of today, isn't it?
Well done, you've carried the 3.
I've managed, and this
How
is
many-
Giles.
how many drinks have you
Giles
had?
Paley Phillips. I've had one drink. Thank you. I'd quite like another one, but no.
Yeah, you might need one.
Welcome to The Big Chat. We're at Local and Live Takeover with my good friend and podcast producer, Giles Paley Phillips. Hi, nice to meet you.
That's you, yeah.
You'll put me to shame today. You understand a lot more about what's going on today than me, having been in a band.
I guess in a way. But I mean, funny enough, you guys have come in. Remind me of the name of the band.
It's Code Marla.
Code Marla. And you guys have played this festival before, but when it was back at the Forum, and I had the privilege of playing at the Forum back in the late 90s, early noughties. It's a great venue.
I absolutely love the Forum.
Yeah.
I used to live literally opposite.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Just to walk over any night for a gig is just amazing.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant. We always loved playing at the Forum. It was just always a great venue, and the fact that it used to be a public lavatory, I believe, it makes it even more special in some ways.
Was it really a public?
So the myth.
Apparently, the men's urinals are original.
Yeah. So
if you want to see some history,
Yeah.
you know where to go.
It's
Largest
quite a
in
big
Europe, I hear.
public toilet, though, right?
Yeah, largest in Europe, I think it was.
Yeah.
It would be, wouldn't it? But yeah.
But it's great. So you guys started playing Local and Live was where you used to play down there. Well, the reason why being because you're a bit more less mainstream, a little bit heavier.
I would say so. Yeah, generally we're a bit heavier than a lot of the bands who are playing. So we cross electronic music and rock music together. More in the electronic side, I would say, but it does get quite heavy in the rock side as well. So similar to, as you mentioned before, Enter Shikari, Pendulum, a little bit Linkin Park, those kind of vibes.
And those kind of bands heavily influenced for you. I mean, what sort of bands were you into?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I originally started as a solo project of just me playing live bass and doing all the other stuff with gadgets on stage, and that was very just kind of pure dubstep, maybe a little bit trip hop, and then got Fraser along to add some guest guitar and started off with just little twiddly bits. Then he added more and more heavy bits. Then we found Billy at an open mic night. He's not here at the moment. Hopefully going to be here. And he's the rapper in the band. And he joined in 2017, I want to say.
About that.
Yeah, and then that's when we've kind of solidified where we are now.
Yeah. And so what kind of bands were you, have you come from? What kind of bands have influenced you?
Growing up playing guitar, it's all just like classic rock and stuff. But when you're at school, you start listening to some dubstep, some drum and bass and stuff like that, and you start trying to think, okay, how can I play guitar over this stuff instead? And you find that you've got all your pedal boards out and you're just making some really weird sounds, and you try and put bits and bobs here and there, and just sort of goes from there. Yeah.
So have you got a lot of pedals?
No. So now what I do is basically I just use a massive MIDI port.
Oh, okay.
And everything's on the Mac.
Right. Okay. So you have that
guitar rig on there, and just pick and choose sounds from there, and just spam the buttons and see what happens.
So you're just using loads of presets, plugins and stuff.
That's it. Yeah. Just like muck around with some plugins and create some weird sounds, and just use that instead.
That's amazing,
Over the years, I added loads of pedals and gadgets and everything, and then it got to a point where it's like, there is too much equipment here.
Yeah, it just gets ridiculous, doesn't it? Yeah,
I mean, back down, MIDI seems to be the way to go.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
We don't have to carry any amps around. You just got
it's amazing,
PC, one pedal board, and that's it.
Yeah, oh God, I might have to talk to you guys about that, because I've still got a massive Mesa Boogie rig that when I not that I play many gigs these days, but yeah, it's a nightmare to carry around.
Right.
So
Don't get me started talking about tech. I'm a massive nerd when it comes to stuff like that.
I'm
I will not shut up.
don't even know how
Nicole's
to press
like, what?
the button.
Yeah, this is the only reason I'm here today.
He
I have
produces all the podcasts for me, because he's always like, Nicole, have you pressed the button?
We got this machine because it's
we
got a
pressed
big
the
red
button?
button on it that says record.
It's like red. It shouldn't be red. Surely green is go and red is stop. So it really messes my mojo. But
I've never thought about that, but that makes perfect sense.
Come on, that makes sense, right?
So you had lots of gear, and you've sort of stripped it back down now.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, what we would quite like to do is actually turn the band fully live, because I program the beats and then we play those out through a laptop through DJ software. But the ideal situation, I think, would be to find a drummer and just have a full live band. But it's been working well enough for us at the moment.
Yeah.
So if you know any drummers,
Yeah, send them our way.
We did meet one a minute ago, actually.
Yeah, he might be up for it, mightn't he?
There's a few here today.
Yeah,
probably.
you might be able to
Take
collar
your pick.
someone.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet then? So you mentioned sort of how long have you been?
Oh my god! I mean, we've been friends for years.
Can you talk about
that?
friends of friends, hanging
Messy
out,
house parties.
yeah, messy house parties, turning up at each other's houses and finding an instrument in the corner and twiddling around.
You didn't even play guitar that much when you joined the bands, to be
Mate,
fair.
I barely play guitar at all now.
You just rock up.
Yeah, I just rock up and just try and piece something together, really.
Because of the type of music that I was making at the start, the guitar parts were all just very simple little like bits. And I was like, Fraser, you own a guitar, you can do that. And then as he started to actually, learn to play, I was like, oh no, actually play some proper guitar on this.
Brilliant.
So
have you been playing for a long time? Has it been from a young age?
yeah, I mean, well, the band as a whole, since I started solo, has been going for about 10 years. But I mean, I've been playing bass for 20 years now, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Like finding a guitar in your house and just like fiddling with it for a little bit and see what happens. But I mean, I didn't put any effort in over the last, but until like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, started actually
You still look pretty laid back. It's like,
Yeah.
I like this. It's good. I like it.
Well, I mean, if you're getting too stressed out by it, you shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Especially when it comes to music, I think.
Agreed.
That just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
And if a moment catches you, you pick it up and you play it. I've now collected through like Oxfam shops and all that a few guitars. So now I've got one in each room. So now the moment takes me, I can just reach over and grab one. It's only some like cheap like kids guitar, but if you've got something in your head, otherwise you'll never pick it up because
You've got to go somewhere.
The one
to get
time you're
it.
going to be in that room with your equipment out and something comes to you, when's that going to happen?
Yeah.
So
That's a kind of good little idea.
Well, I've got guitars up in quite a lot of rooms in the house as well. I think it's vital to sort of have something nearby that when a riff comes in your head, you just want to get it.
Even like you're watching the end of a film and the soundtrack that's playing on the credits sounds really good.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll have a bit of that.
Yeah.
And off you go. Yeah.
So how many guitars have you got at home then?
Only like
Only 20.
4, 5, I think.
5,
but
okay.
like the majority of them are just like £5 of the Oxfam shop up the road or something like that. Just something I can have in the corner that will stay tuned and I can just pick up and if it sounds any good, I'll go upstairs to a proper guitar and see what happens.
Yeah, I think what we like about having the live guitars in the band, because we did try before just using button machines and things like that, is that I feel like people in the audience can connect a bit more.
Yeah.
Generally, people are more familiar with someone holding a guitar. They know, okay, yeah, he's doing that, he's making sound. Back when we were just pressing buttons, even though we could be doing really complicated stuff, no one knows.
Unless you've got a camera looking down on what you're doing. Even then, people are like, well, it's just some coloured buttons. You could be doing anything. You could be playing Pac-Man.
I mean, we're doing loads now, and no one really.
Well,
knows.
funny enough, I think you see it in the past, like with bands like the Prodigy and stuff, having live guitarists come on and live vocalists.
Yeah.
It does make a big difference to that performance.
Yeah, it's something to look at as well. When I go to regular DJ gigs, I'm like, where do I look?
Yeah.
The stage, but I can't. There's just a guy standing there going like this.
Yeah.
But it's making
love,
music. Ultimately, it's all making music, right? So it's like that's what if you understand music, you get that. But it's whether you're playing a guitar or you're,
Yeah, exactly. Again, when we were doing more of the kind of button machines, it was a case the people who would come up after us were only other people who were really into tech and they kind of knew what it was. They're like, oh, using the APC 40. Oh yeah, nice. But yeah, no one would ever come up and be like, that was a sick riff.
Yeah.
So how did you meet Paul? Obviously you've been at the Forum, you lived opposite the Forum. You know how Paul was.
I mean, I feel like Paul's just a part of the town.
He really is. We need a statue. Can we have a statue of Paul, please?
I think I played my first gig at the Forum when I was 15. I'd barely been playing very long. They shouldn't have let me on stage. And then I went to the Forum probably the first time when I was 20, since like 15 years ago or something, just to see some friends' bands. So you get talking to the people who organise it all. And then when I was finally in a stage that I could approach Paul and ask if I could play at the Grey Lady, which we did at first when it was more chilled out stuff, and then as it became heavier.
Yeah, when it was just instrumental, just like mellow stuff. Yeah, it's Grey Lady-ish, but it couldn't get away in the Grey Lady now. I don't think it's a bit too heavy for that now.
Even when we were doing just the pure dubstep, it was old school dubstep, so it was very reggae and two-step influenced, just very mellow, big bass, but not like the modern Skrillex stuff or anything like that. So that was okay for the Grey Lady. And then as we started adding in the heavier guitars, we're like, okay, we're more of a forum band now, I think.
Yeah. I'm excited to listen to this.
Yeah, so the band's really evolved quite a lot during your time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think because me, you, and Billy, we all bring different influences to the band.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've got a very eclectic music taste as well. I'll be as happy listening to Christina Aguilera as I am Slipknot, as I am, Skrillex or whatever. So, yeah, we all bring it, and every track's a little bit different. We've got some tracks that are just pretty much pure rock, metal.
Yeah.
And then
someone else will come up with the bass idea, and whoever comes up with the bass idea, it's like their baby, and it will sound completely different to the rest of the stuff we've come up with. So,
and it's actually, obviously you've moved now to doing, obviously before you were doing the smaller venues because the music was heavier, you didn't think it was quite. But it's something like, I think with this day and age where there's so much music available to people, there is more of an appetite for different types of music. And like now, obviously you're on the live stage here. Do you think there's that's something that's changed and people's more of an appetite for sort of different genres? Yeah,
I think so. It's weird because I was talking to some people the other day, and I've got young cousins as well. And I said when I was a teenager in like the late 90s, early 2000s, music was like your identity, and there was a lot of rivalry between people who were into different genres. And now, from talking to the kids I know, there doesn't seem to be that because everyone just mixes genres. You don't really have, the metalheads against all the jungle heads or anything, just everyone crosses together.
Yeah, certainly. I'm sort of same as you, and thinking like back in the day, you would never listen to like any dance music if you were into rock music. There was very much
to be in secret.
Yeah, but I do wonder if maybe
admit it, would you?
Yeah,
you'd never admit it.
No, definitely not. Yeah,
you even dressed that way.
Even when I remember, I was like, when back in the day, I was like, I remember just being ostracised because I was really into The Cure and everything when I was young, but I dressed like a hippie.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wasn't goth enough. I was like, what's that about? But it's just all that, what you're talking about.
But I think we consume music in a different way now because, like with Spotify, we don't tend to listen to albums the same way. It's more shuffle and stuff. So I do wonder if that has been a catalyst for that sort of change.
I think the internet's made a huge difference because also, back when we were younger, you would have the money to buy like one CD every week or month or whatever, and that was it. Yeah. So you didn't have the opportunity to experiment with different types of music as much. You were like, no, I can only afford to buy this many CDs, so metal is my entire personality.
Yeah, I was like that, I think I've got 12 quid, I need to buy the Tool album and nothing else.
It bodes well for these kind of gigs better, I think, as well, is because if this was like 20 years ago, you'd have to stick with certain genres, otherwise the crowds would get very confused and be wandering off and coming backwards and forwards all the time. Whereas now everyone sort of knows that in all these like bits all over the place, something will come on that's a bit out there and they won't be surprised by it. They'll be like, actually, I've heard a bit of this before, and I'll stay and watch it instead. So.
Yeah, no, I think
and kids as well. I love it because all the kids are out there, and it's like the kids are listening to like little kids. It's nice for them to be around all different genres of music. Whereas there might have been a time when maybe even the kids wouldn't have been listening to.
I think a lot more
festivals. Children listen to that,
Yeah, I think a lot more festivals are becoming family friendly as well.
Totally, I love that. Yeah.
Like I say, I think listeners are becoming more savvy as well to different genres.
Well, and also you can't censor anything now. I mean, every time I'm in my car and my 11-year-old, I'm like, what is that swear that's on there? He's like, Mum, it says uncensored. Just shut up. Yeah. So it's all good.
That's one thing we've got to be very careful of today because some of our lyrics do have some swearing, so I've said to Billy, you've got to censor
He does get very excited. He does get very excited.
Get a bit carried away,
Forget
where he
is
is
now. You would have so much editing
he called
to do.
Me.
He's probably off somewhere being excited, I guess.
He says
you're off the hook, Giles. Giles has to edit the episodes. We're like, you can swear, but it's just more work for Giles. So it's down.
So what are the plans going forward? So obviously you're doing this today. Have you got lots of other gigs lined up? Are you doing recording? Not
really, to be honest.
No.
we recorded an EP. How many tracks of that? Nine
odd, I think.
Just before lockdown. And then the lockdown happened. And we just kind of put it out during lockdown, which looking back, I think might have been a mistake. We probably should have held on to it because it was really hard to promote it without getting out there and playing the gigs, I think. Because even though obviously the internet is there, I much prefer the live aspect of it. So we've got that record. We're going to try and get some gigs and promote that. But any we did have a few gigs lined up, and then they got cancelled because of people are still a little bit wary over COVID. But it seems like things are opening up more now, so hopefully we're going to get some more booked and get going. But yeah, this is our only one of the year so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with regards to recording, do you guys go in the studio or do you do stuff yourself? How do you work it?
In the past, I've always recorded it just myself at home, and then we send it off for like a professional mastering.
Uh-huh.
But I'm also in a band called Bombay Monkey.
Right.
I don't know if you're aware of them at all. And we've recently got a new drummer who's also a producer. He runs.
It's always handy to get someone who knows what they're doing.
He runs the studio above the forum.
Right. Okay.
So I've been working with him a bit more, and I think next time we record, we'll just get him to do the full
Sure.
recording rather than having to deal with our half-assed attempts of recording at home.
What would you record at home? You got Logic or something like that?
I record everything on Ableton.
Yeah,
so
oh, right, okay.
I've just people always say, "Oh, why don't you try this program?" So I've used
You get used
Ableton
to
for
things,
so
though, don't you?
long.
Yeah.
I'm just used to it now,
Yeah.
so I'll just stick with it.
Yeah.
You two need a techie podcast.
Yeah, sorry.
All of your own.
Going
No,
a bit
don't be
techy.
sorry. It's just like, I'm just like,
What the hell are they talking
but
about?
I like it. I'm sure
You'd never
people
see
wanna
him
hear
again.
it.
I also found that for live performances, Ableton was great for that
Yeah.
as well. 'Cause I mean, it is called Ableton Live for a
Sure.
reason. Even though I don't use it live now, I think Billy really wants to come. But,
When are you on?
yeah. So,
Now.
yeah.
Five-ish, I think.
Must be a second. What was I saying? Yeah, so I use that for live stuff
Sure.
because it was good for triggering stuff. But now we tend to just have the beats on DJ software and just run
Right,
that.
okay.
It's just when we're playing the guitars, it's a little bit harder to get on all
Of
the
course,
buttons
yeah,
and all the
yeah, yeah,
triggering. That's a thing that we would like the live drummer for, because then they could be triggering.
Yes, can hit the
effects
triggers. Yeah.
live, Which would be nice.
So so you're pretty techie. So what came first, the techie or the music, or was it a bit of both? Like, where did you learn? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've always just been a massive nerd. So my dad was a big gamer when
Yeah.
I was a kid. So I grew up with computers always
Yeah.
around the house, old Amiga 500s and things like that. And then I started learning guitar or bass when I was about 15. And then it didn't take that long until the two kind of came together,
Mixed it,
really.
yeah.
As soon as I had a computer that was good enough to record on, I just started recording straight away and experimenting with effects. So-
I love that about technology right now, and I do think in lockdown as well, it's like people have certainly sort of technology has become, we're appreciating it a bit more, the capabilities of it. Like, some people already understood it, but there's so much more that you can do and communicate with each other. And I mean, my 9-year-old's
Yeah.
making TikToks and
That's it.
she's got a YouTube, but at the same time it's creative, and I want to help her express that, because that's the new generation. It's not the way, you looking after her, obviously checking she's not talking to anyone she shouldn't be, but do you know what I mean? It's the way of being able to be
the world's just going to
creative.
get more tech heavy, so the more that they can invest in that, the better,
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
Yeah, but I remember there was an old program or game on PlayStation called Music 2000s, which was you just put the disc in, you play with samples, and I would say that was probably my first experience of creating electronic music, even though I wasn't really doing much other than dragging samples in.
Well, I
That was
remember
enough to
getting
get me hooked.
a hooky copy of Fruit Loops and
Oh,
messing about with that for hours. Like, it all sounded really terrible, but it was fun to play around with.
That is one of the most kind of well-known and respected DAWs now. It's weird because back when I started, it was a bit of a joke.
It was a bit naff.
And now real.
I remember a friend of mine.
producers are using
We were jamming and stuff together. And he was just really into the Police, but he suddenly got really into Fruit Loops. He said, "I got to try this Fruit Loops thing," and awful music that we would come up with it. But I remember thinking it was quite sophisticated, but at the same time, all the sounds were pretty awful. But I think it's probably
I say, as long as you're experimenting with music,
Exactly,
it's all good. The amount of times I will work on a track and then at the end I'll just close, don't save.
Exactly.
That was terrible, but I've learned something at
Yeah.
least. In fact, we normally work on songs for way too long, and so we're bored of them by the end. But over lockdown, because we couldn't get together for practice, because Billy, he lives in Essex.
Right, okay, so you're a bit spread out.
Yeah, so it's difficult to get him down often, especially over lockdown. So I started a solo lo-fi hip hop project.
Right.
And I limited myself to 1 track a month. And if whatever state the track is in at the end of that month, I release it. And that's really helped me get less precious. So maybe with Code Marla, we'll give that a try.
Try that instead, yeah. Probably for the best.
So how can people find out about you guys? Have you got stuff online?
Other than coming to Local and Live
Type
right
us
now.
into Google. It
Code
all
Marla,
comes
you'll
up.
find
All
it.
the standard stuff, Instagram, all of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that we're only on Instagram now because I decided to sack off Facebook. I got fed up with that.
Yeah.
So
Full of oldies now, isn't it?
Where's it? Yeah. It's like it's like
You'll be on it this.
It's not hip. It's not
Watch
hip
yourself.
anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so funny how social media. Like,
I'll take you off that.
all
one.
social media is like 10 years old, but like Facebook's already for like middle-aged people.
Facebook
Yeah.
is so old. Facebook.
It's like your grandparents go on that.
But yeah, obviously
Like,
Spotify.
oh, what's LinkedIn then? Oh god.
LinkedIn, don't even go to LinkedIn. I mean, that is. Oh, look, my pillow's fallen over. but anyway, yeah.
Throwing your toys out your
CodeMarla.com.
pram.
That's
Yeah.
always a good one as well.
Okay,
Just go
yeah,
direct
great.
to our website. Spotify or Instagram's the best options.
Fantastic.
And
Well, it's
where-
been lovely to talk to you guys.
Yeah,
isn't it?
no, and where can people see you in Tunbridge Wells next? So
I don't know.
We're hanging around.
Just around.
Yeah.
hanging around.
Yeah.
Spoons.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you for no, it's been fun.
Yeah. Thank you so
Been
much for
good.
coming and talking
No
to
problem.
us. Yeah, and
Thank you very
I
much.
hope the gig goes really well. I hope your vocalist turns up.
Yeah, well, I say he keeps,
Yeah, well,
he keeps
he's here. I
buzzing
think
my
he's
watch.
here.
so-
He's going to just run onto the stage.
Yeah.
As soon as you get on there, he's
How
just
long
going
we
to.
got until we play?
I'm excited to hear your swears.
Yeah.
No, there will be no
Yes,
swear.
I'm going to
Johnson
be
will
in the crowd
fuming.
checking you
Yeah.
out. We're like, no, thank you. And I feel like my brain cells have grown a bit between you two
Yeah.
talking
All right.
tech.
Yeah, sorry.
No, good to meet you guys. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.